What's going on, homies and homettes? Welcome to the first episode of whatever this podcast will be. But today I have my friend Stephanos, who has been in the past 2 years excelling every single day, physically, spiritually, financially. I mean, I'm proud of who you've become. So we're going to hop into his journey, the things he's noticed on the way of going from having all this ambition and searching for a direction to really finding your way to succeeding in that way, and then realizing what we could have done to make it faster. So hopefully you guys could use those shortcuts for yourselves. And we'll go through some popular quotes, give our feedback on it. We'll go through some life experiences and talk about that. So let's hop right in with the first quote here. The world belongs to those who create their own opportunities.
Well, first and foremost, brother, I appreciate you having me. Couldn't have done anything without you and your support, so I appreciate it, as you know. I was going to say, as far as the quotes go, again, the world belongs to those who create their own opportunities. This is one, guys, that I essentially just came to mind when training the sales teams. Mm. So for anybody who doesn't know, essentially started off in the corporate life, the 9 to 5, doing that for a bit, gaining experience there. Ultimately ended up having ambition, but never really had, kind of like Elon prefaced it before, just never having a way to channel that sort of direction, that ambition. Finally ended up getting into the sales space, online sales, remote sales. Mm-hmm. I remember initially buying a mentorship, mm-hmm. Which is funny, right? Because that's what it is, right? And so buying a mentorship of getting into sales, and I just remember so many reactions of man, what if you got scammed?
What if you just spent, and it was big money too. It wasn't
so the mentorship was $5,000. Now initially I did a payment plan because for anybody who knows me, I didn't have $5,000, so I had to make it happen. Which is again goes back to,
and it was $5,000 US, no?
US, yeah.
So in Canadian, that's $170,000
approximately. Yeah, exactly.
No, but it's still a lot, especially what I'm noticing, and here's a contrast to my day to day right now, is a 9 to 5, you'll make maybe a couple grand a month, and when you're thinking in those numbers, you're okay, that's a few months of my salary. Mm-hmm. That's not that's not just I can't even pay that in 1 month, you know what I mean? But business wise, it's oh, that's a couple days.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's I'm seeing the contrast day to day right now of in my head I'm oh, do I have money for this? And then I'm oh yeah, I do. But it's a big shift that I'm learning right now from where I'm at. But when you were initially thinking of doing that risk, what pushed you there? And I know there was a lot of reactions, but what made you kind of put those reactions behind you and really take that jump?
It's a really good question. I think what you just mentioned is vital as well, right? It's the fact that it's the perspective shift that you have. Mm-hmm. And so for anybody watching this, again, just going through the journey, again, I do want to say there's moments where you're going to doubt yourself. You self-doubt every day. That's part of it, right? Mm-hmm. But the only way that you will ever make a decision is when you come to the realization that the current situation you're in right now is not where you want to be. Yeah. And what that does is I'm sure we've all had that experience where we all want to get into 5 different business ventures at the same time, right? You see e-commerce and drop shipping,
so many options,
and I can go buy a barbershop, and I can get into sales, and I can do this in real estate, right? And you see all these different options, and the problem with us is as humans, we love to start, mm-hmm. We're starters, right? Yeah. Which is a good thing in and of itself. However, how many of us actually follow through? Mm-hmm. How many of us are going to take a task from day one, start it, go through all of the pain where it's not working out, and then actually end up succeeding by finishing it? Sure. And so that's the one thing is my mindset was look, absolute worst case, I just got into this mentorship. It's an absolute scam. And now I'll know never to get scammed again, right?
Sure.
Or best case scenario, I get into this mentorship and, God knows where it's going to take me. And, obviously it's really not easy. And I oftentimes don't talk about, where I came from or my experiences. But again, appreciate you having me on here because I just want to be able to help anybody that's coming from day one and starting out. And
I mean,
got a long way to go.
What I'm learning every single day, every time I don't have a camera out, I wish that I was documenting. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So, through that journey, is there moments that you wish you kind of documented, or is there times where you wish because now you've come very far, so it's to even go back there is not possible. Is there a time where you wish you kind of documented more or spoke about that journey?
I did document a bit. Now I do wish that I was documenting everything. Mm-hmm. Simply, it's not even for content's sake. It's just for the younger you. It's just for you to look back on and say, wow, like look at all the things that happened and look at all of the things that changed. And that's why, like, even again using the quote, like, the world belongs to those who create their own opportunities. It's because a lot of times, guys, like in the life that we experience here, there's not going to be an opportunity. You would want better for yourself, and you're looking around you and you're looking at all these individuals, because at the end of the day, everyone wants what other people have. That's just the truth. Like, let's say like your business that you have, right, and how successful you are, and your skill set, everybody wants that. Everybody would love to work online and do that.
Yeah.
But the truth is like, okay, they have to find and put in the work to make that happen. Yeah. And so as a result, if we're not able to create our own opportunities, an example is like, I didn't have that 1K to put down on the mentorship. I didn't have any money, guys. I was at zero. And so again, it's about finding ways to come up with that money. Maybe you'll borrow from somebody. Maybe you'll go in with a friend, right? Let's say you and I will get into a mentorship together and do it together. Like, whatever you need to do, guys, is that the preface with this is like, you might not have the resources, but you can always become resourceful, no matter in what environment you're in.
100%.
And that's the one thing that, like, to what you said earlier, is when you get to a certain degree, you can never go back.
Yeah.
I remember like conversations. I remember calling you and getting to a point where like I'd close my first few deals.
Yeah.
And make in 10 hours what I used to make in a month.
Yeah.
Of like 40-hour work weeks, and I would tell you, like, I can never go back now.
It's the craziest thing.
You can never go back.
Especially like, you learn how to monetize your skill set, and I find, and correct me if it was different for you, but for me, what I'm noticing is through every stage every like stage of it, whatever.
Yeah.
I noticed that in the beginning there's some fear of like, I need to continue this momentum, otherwise I will fall back. And then you build a little bit of consistency. You put a few people on. The confidence
starts to build up.
You put a few people on retainers, and you have like consistency, and you're like breathing again, But there's that moment of panic that I wish I documented more, because like, yes, it's high levels of stress and everything, but I think that's like the exact moment where you notice who you've become versus who you were.
Yeah.
And was it similar for you in the sense of like, was there that time where you're like, okay, this is the next level, this is where I was, what do I do right now?
I fight that every day.
Still?
Yeah. Ooh. Those are the battles, and for anyone watching this who looks at the life they know they could live and wants to get there, and even like us are arguably like we're just starting out on our journey as well. It's the battles that you fight every single day, and you don't tell anybody, nobody sees it, right? And you might disappear for a while. Like, that's what happens.
Constant
right?
feeling, by the way.
It's just, it's every single day. It's
every time somebody invites you out, you're just like, I could work.
Yeah.
I could do this. I could like be more productive if I were to do this. If I have better sleep, I'll have better energy to do this. And then all these different thoughts are in your head, and a lot of the time I'm like, yo, I just want to dip for a little bit,
And arguably,
and sometimes you have to,
And arguably, the one thing with that is like, it's so funny because we're so distraught sometimes, and then we realize that the only thing that is gonna unlock you from there into actually achieving something is just taking action.
Yeah.
Imperfect action every single time.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the one thing is like, someone asked me just yesterday, they were like, what's the one piece of advice you would give me if I want to get started into some sort of online business? And I was like, how long have you been thinking about it? And he says 4 months, and I'm like, you should have done it 4 months ago. That's the only thing I can tell you, and it's the same thing for myself. Like, I waited 7 months to get into what I wanted to get into, because I had to like think about things, I had to look things over, I had to explore, wait for the stars to align and watch out every opportunity and make sure things be perfect. And then you realize that it's never going to be perfect.
Right.
And it's so funny because the moment you actually take action on something, you're going to make mistakes. Of course. But the more mistakes you make and the quicker you make them, the faster you learn.
100%. It's funny you bring that up. Literally during Shabbat, we were having dinner at a rabbi's house, and he was talking to one of my friends who, like, he came after his dinner, just knocked on the door, pulled up, well, we invited him previously, but no technology. It felt like the olden days, It's nice. But like when we were kids, and like you just leave your bike in front, you knock, like, is he home? it's that's what it felt like. It was really fun. But anywho, he's talking to the rabbi, and the rabbi was asking him a question. He was like, oh, like, I have to think about this, and the rabbi's like, don't think, just action. And he's like, nah, but I have to like think. And he's like, no, just action. Like, if you want to do something, like, the best way to do it is by doing it. You know what I mean? Like, there's all this like planning, and that people think it needs to be all this, and it needs to be so perfect. And if you start, you'll find your way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of the time, that's like the best experiences. Like, you go to the gym, you don't know exactly what to do, but you'll try something, you'll see how that feels. Oh, okay, deadlifting, I don't like it too much. Maybe if I go on the on the row, it's gonna feel a lot better. You go row, you're like, okay, this is the one I'm gonna use going forward. And it's the same thing in life. So
Absolutely.
like for business, like even with video and everything that I've been doing, like I notice what, like example, I love the quality of my like cinema camera. It's phenomenal. However, it's there's friction to start it up. So if I want to do a quick video, I took my phone and I made a quick
That's
video,
it.
and I'm like nervous because obviously the quality difference is significant. I post on Instagram and people loved it. They're like, do more.
There you
And
go.
it's so much faster. So I'm like, why was I in my head for like weeks trying to
Yeah.
like, I don't want to carry this if I'm out on a run. No, if I'm out on a run, I just put on my phone. It's, you remove the friction and you just take action and everything changes.
Absolutely.
It's phenomenal.
And it's incredible. Like I do want to say one thing, and this is, for anyone that sees the life that's ahead of them, because that's the one thing is that it always starts in the mind first, right? You see that vision,
Hmm.
and you see it vividly, and other people might not understand it, and for the most part, you will be misunderstood,
True.
right? And you will be lonely, and you will feel that.
Hmm.
And the moment you see that vision, and the moment you start walking towards it, the crazy thing is that you start to notice how fast you can actually move. That's
True.
the one thing. I met up with someone that I met in college. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, and
Hmm.
I just saw him the other day, and he was super great conversation. It was great to see him again. He's very artistic, very intelligent man, and we're just chatting. And he says, "I bet you feel misunderstood." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "What had you? What brought you to that conclusion? Since we haven't seen each other in 4 or 5 years." And he says, "Because you move so quick. You move
Hmm.
so quick that people don't understand." And
Yeah.
and that's the thing is like when you look at entrepreneurs, anybody who's in sales, in business, anyone who's an entrepreneur, anyone who's building something of extreme value or wants to,
Hmm.
they move like this.
Yeah.
They're not waiting on tomorrow. They're not thinking about it. They're not, trying to explore all these different opportunities. They find a direction. They take action. That
Hmm.
might, like you said, that might not be the direction that you stay with. You
Yeah.
might end up starting off in
Pivoting is
e-commerce and
essential in
pivot
business.
into something else, right?
I mean, there's multiple like studies and things that show like the success rate when a company knows when to pivot versus when they stay with the same product for X amount of time. So
Yeah,
like Blockbuster, for example, didn't know how to pivot, and Netflix took over.
exactly.
Um, and that scene has happened so many times over where your company is at a point where you have to update with the technology, you have to update with the resources that are available now that weren't available before. And if you stay the way it used to be, it fails.
Yeah,
So, same thing in your life. If you keep doing the same thing, nothing's going to change. I mean, Albert Einstein.
exactly.
Like, doing the same thing over and over is insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So, you have to implement that change. If you see something's not working, or if you see something's going, something could do it better, then 100% take that action, try it out, and worst case scenario, in 2 weeks you switch it up again.
Absolutely.
And that's completely fine. I think a lot of people think that like once you start something, you have to do it for like the rest of your life. So it's a big difference.
Most
Let's
definitely.
hop into another quote here.
Love it.
The less ideal we need a situation to be for us to perform, the more powerful we are. Okay. The
What of?
less ideal a situation you need to perform. So circumstances, they're not set up. You want to start your own business, but you don't have all the funding you would like. You don't have a marketing plan. You don't have the knowledge required. What do?
It's a great question. I mean, arguably, there's no shortage of knowledge out there right now, especially in the fact that we can pull up ChatGPT and get any answer. And ChatGPT is one of the many AIs that you and I both use. But like, you can pull up any answer to any question you want within 15 seconds. Right?
Hmm.
There's also the fact that so many mentors out there. There's right now we're in the era of education.
One thing that because I've been doing like YouTube courses and everything for like 10 plus years.
Yeah,
Like I remember buying my first one that was only like $50, and then most recently I bought a few that were like thousands and whatever. But like not just, well, filmmaking and video, because filmmaking is the bigger one. But I find for me, because I've been doing it for so long, I kind of never saw it as something bad. But some people view mentorship as like a sign of weakness almost. Like I know a few people where they're like, oh, if it's not a formal education, it almost doesn't count. And I'm like, bro, you
Yeah.
get so much more from these guys that have done the work, that have the proof, that know what they're doing, that have been in your shoes, than like a professor that has never started anything talking to you about like why business is important. So I find like, how can people kind of break the, what's the word, like the idea that formal education is the only kind of education?
So I'm gonna go back to the famous quote. You know, hopefully I don't butcher it, but it's not the mountain you climb that's gonna kill you; it's the pebble in your shoe. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Your ego is the only thing holding you back. And just so anybody anybody who knows me personally here knows that at some point I had a massive ego, and it was one that was completely crippling, because you look at these people and you say, oh no, it's not important. They don't know what they're talking about. It's all a scam. Everything's a scam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, surely everything is a scam until you try it and it works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, I would argue the 9 to 5 is a scam. You're gonna go there and dedicate 40 plus years of your life to retire on a budget. You know, so it's the understanding that what got us here won't get us there.
Mm-hmm.
And until we actually bridge that gap, the one thing I always tell people as well, like anyone that I've had the opportunity to mentor, had the opportunity to learn from, I always tell them this: we're not, as humans, we're not obsessed with where we are right now. A lot of people think we're obsessed with where we want to be. So they look at like the North Star and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
we're obsessed with this over here. What we're actually obsessed with is the middle,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we can't figure out.
Right.
And what's in the middle is exactly what the roadblock is, which is your ego. The moment you drop your ego, you drop all of your preconceived notions, you drop all of your current misconceptions, everything you ever thought. If you have a conversation with yourself, guys, I highly implore anybody here, take a pen and paper, which is what I had to do back in the day. Take a pen and paper, I do this all the time. Write down, what are the beliefs you truly believe? Like Alex Ramosi says.
Mm-hmm.
What are the beliefs you truly believe? Write those down on paper and really look at those, and now look at reality. Look at people who are successful, look at people who are absolutely going out there and doing big things and making waves, and ask yourself if those beliefs are now serving you.
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll oftentimes notice is that for the most part, they're not serving you. As a matter of fact, they're the ones that are holding you back, right? It's like people who are overly virtuous. Oh, you know what? I'm not wealthy, but I'm a good person.
Right.
Well, both of those things have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
You can be wealthy and an amazing person. You could actually have money and be a horrible person as well. Vice versa with the other side of the equation. And so people, they look at it from,
they try to connect dots that aren't there to
they
kind
try
of
to
let
connect dots that
themselves
are there, and then
feel
they
like
get into the confirmation bias of like, because now you believe something, now every single thing that you see affirms that belief. Now you get
Yeah.
caught in that trap. And so to go back to your question of like how to break out of the bond of, is education a scam? You can do it however you want, but ask yourself, am I living the life that I truly want to live?
Right.
Because I will guarantee you guys, the work that I was putting in, and you've seen the work that we were putting in together, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I would argue the work that we were putting in at $2,000 a month, at $3,000 a month, at $4,000 a month is not that much more work than you're putting in at $20,000 a month,
Right.
at $30,000 a month.
Well, there's also
From an actual volume perspective.
Yeah, there's also like, in business, I'd say it's a different kind of work.
Yeah,
when you're reaching out to clients, like the other day, bro, I hop on a call. I bought like, there was a prospect who like was talking to me about like his business. He has 2 different companies and he needs videos for both. We were talking about that for like a good while. I finished that call. I come back here. I hop on a call with an editor that I'm hiring. Like, it's back and forth nonstop. But like, there's times where, do you want to reach out to that person? Do you want to like prospect? Do you want to try? And the truth is, like, you need to. Like, it's not like do you want to? It's, you actually have to. Like, that is your task. That is your work. If this was a 9 to 5 and your boss would be like, go do this, you would. So why for yourself you wouldn't? And it goes back to the ego.
It's always the ego.
Do you, like, there's the potential of them saying no. So what? Like, that was the biggest fear I find, like, I've had of like, what if I offer the service and they say no? And I'm like, now I'm like, okay, next.
we're in the exact same situation we're in right now. Like, that was the conversation I had with many people, and a lot of people in my family and a lot of people that were close to me. Is like, I can't believe you're gonna go into this commission only role and get into business. And it's like, cool.
Because also you were making good money at a pretty secure job. Not even pretty, bro. They, like, you were that office. So you were making good money, and to go from that to betting on yourself, long term, best thing you could do.
Yeah.
Short term, scary as fuck.
Yeah.
So honestly, like, it was, when you did it, I was like, respect. Like, that's huge. And I'm like, you've inspired our friend group a lot by the amount of action you put in, by the amount of like character growth that you've had, by the amount of like, I know we give you a hard time sometimes when we're like, oh, let's go out, and
Because you
you're
guys
like,
love me,
no.
that's why.
But even even in those times, like, there's actually like countless times where like when we do go out, we're like respecting it, you know, like, you know what I mean? We're like somebody's like, oh, like he couldn't make it because he was working. We're like, yo, bro's gonna be successful, you know what I mean? So it's like, even like to me, when I noticed, like when I noticed, even the times you wouldn't come out and we're still like, yo, that's a very respectable move. To me, someone who like, if I say no, I feel like I'm letting people down, and that was a big mental barrier that I had. I was like, you know what? I have to put myself first more,
You have
like
to.
more than I did before. So like, um, an example, when we were putting the docks in the water and the boats and
Yes.
everything,
Yes.
I'm like, I'm gonna work in the morning. I'm gonna hit the gym, and then I'll meet you guys later. And because I did that, I got there and I didn't have this stress, bro. I had everything done. My videos were
Exactly. That's it.
sent. My workout was done, and I helped. Like I got there and we still put the set. Like I missed the first dock, but we put the second dock in the water. We put the boat. Like I was there for all of that and all the memories and everything. So like it all worked out. There was no like, nobody was like, "Oh, you're late." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, that was like such a relief because like, I don't know, it used to stress me out so much. So now it's like I'm starting to prioritize myself more, and I'm seeing the results coming from that.
What you can do is you can also channel that. Because I'm someone that my biggest, I guess you could say that the cloud that hangs over my head is I don't want to disappoint people.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Exactly.
that's my biggest thing is I don't want to disappoint people. I want every single person that has an interaction with me, whether it's on the camera here today or anyone, well, my previous sales team or anyone who's like joined the academy or like anything of that nature. I
Mm-hmm.
want every single person to be able to come in and say, okay, like I had a conversation with this guy or I encountered this person and I left with a positive note rather, right? So
Yeah.
if you're able to do that and you're able to go about your day with that process that every day gets 1% better, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to see the results. But also if you can use that and channel it internally and say, hey, I don't like letting people down. And so as a result, what I'll do is I'm not going to let myself down,
That's big.
right? And you can use that and be like, now I have people, like there's weight on my shoulders. I have people that I need to take care of. I have people I need to provide for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing is people don't have urgency because they don't have stress.
Right.
Like I love stress. I would
Mm-hmm.
argue most, entrepreneurs, once who are way more successful than even us right now, and we will get there, but they'll build up an entire business and then like exit that business to start all over again.
Yeah.
And people say like, why would you put yourself through all of that all over again? And it's like, because I can't live without it. Now I've gotten to a point where I'm
Yeah.
so accustomed to
Because
being under pressure.
the second he gets comfortable, you're like, what do I do now?
Exactly.
And I find that's a time where people kind of like, they lose the
They settle.
touch, because they're like, they're like, oh, I'll just enjoy this for a week, and then a week turns into like a few years, and then they're like, oh, I'm running low, let's do it again. But
Absolutely.
now the market changed. Now you're not in the routine. Now
Correct.
you're like, I used to do this. Like when I lost 100 pounds, I got comfortable, and then I gained like 30 back, and now I'm back in the gym, and I'm eating, and like this year, like since 2025 started, like in January I hired a chef. Like I got everything back on
Yeah,
track,
you've been really
and
dialing things in.
even then I'm like, bro, I used to be an animal, bro. Like 7 days a week training nonstop. Now I'm like, oh, I feel tired. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like not a mindset I've ever had. So I'm like, you can't get out of the routine for too long. So now I live by the 2 day rule. Like never
Yep.
miss more than 2 days back to
Yep.
back. So you miss one day, take it. You miss a second day, not a third. Third, non-negotiable. You go. So I've been doing that, and progress is back. But it's like you have to get back into the routine, and it's a lot harder than if you just stay in it. So a
Yep.
lot of the time you can't let that fade. So if you're going through something that's like, you've built up, you've changed yourself, you left your comfort zone a little bit, and now you're at a point where you're like, okay, I feel okay. I'm gonna relax. Be careful.
Absolutely.
Like that's the most dangerous part. So you
Yep.
can't let that inner voice be like, we're okay now. Like work towards something, because when you stop, you're gonna lose more than just the specific aspect that you work towards.
The most powerful version of ourselves, because I truly believe that, like, for both of us, for anyone watching as well, there is a version of you that is so powerful.
Hmm.
There's the 5x, 10x, 15, 20x version of you.
Yeah.
And And we all see it. That's the truth, is we all see it, right?
Yeah.
And the difference between us now and that version of us, as we work towards it, is the fact that that version of us, every time there's a sliver of comfort, we get back into it again.
Yeah.
You know what? I achieved this goal. I hit this milestone. No slowing down. One thing I was telling people on my previous sales team as well was like, you know, there was a gentleman who was very driven, doing great, got his first like bigger month, you know, as an entry level salesperson.
Very nice. Which
was amazing. We celebrated over it, like went for coffee. It was great. And he was telling me like, man, like now I think I'm gonna take it easy. I'm gonna go, you know, to the chalet on the weekend and stuff like that. And I'm like, you can absolutely do that if you'd like to. I just want to let you know there are people on the team, and at the time I was one of these people. You know, before I transitioned into a different role, but I was like, there are people on the team who will send an invoice for 15, 19, 20, 23 grand this month. They'll wake up tomorrow morning, mentally they're broke. They'll do it all over again, and again and again and again, and you will never beat those people with going to the chalet.
True.
That's just what it is, right? And now, I will say one thing as well. In the recent transition that I've made, I have also come to the realization that the leverage exists for a reason, and the reason leverage exists is for you to enjoy your life.
Yeah.
And so you do not have to be working 25 hours a day, 8 days a week.
Right.
Once you've built up a system that allows you to do so, allows you to take a step back, and the system will operate on its own. And the true proof of a great system is when you can take a step back. Like I know you're big on automation. That's arguably one of the biggest things I love about your business, and I respect about how you do things, because you're like, hey, why would I do another 2 hours a day of this when I can outsource that to, you know, X individual, pay them out accordingly, and have them take care of it.
It's a big thing mentally, because like, example, the past few weeks I've been looking for editors to hire. If you guys are editors, send me your CVs.
There you go.
Well, portfolios. But yeah, basically like I've been interviewing a few different people and everything, and the thing is I have a standard of editing that like I know when I make a client video, there's gonna be this like touch to it. Like I like luckily, and I thank God for this skill, but every time I've sent a client a video, like it's been like not just like it's over exceeding their expectations.
Love that. So
I want to keep that going. So when I hire an editor and I look at the quality, I'm like, okay, this seems like I don't want to put too much technicality. Like basically, there's some softwares where like the export rate is lower, so it looks a little bit like I'm like my camera shot better than that. I don't want to make the quality look worse. You know what I mean? And there's these little things, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, am I being too picky? Am I being like too much of a perfectionist? Will this like, let's say it's a 5% quality drop, will my client even notice? You know, because bro, like people don't understand video because it's not their domain. So like I was filming for a car dealership, and they're like, oh, can we make this video like this? And I'm like, bro, we had the shoot last week. How do you want me to change it?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's like you have the opportunity to kind of assess, like, are you being too much of a perfectionist in something? And also, is it really as serious, as deep as you think it is? So I had to kind of take that step back and be like, okay, if there's a big project, I could still work on it. Like I'm not saying like I want to delegate this forever, but for the 99% of things that I'm like, oh, there's a podcast, like, do I want to spend 5 hours going through it and chopping it? No, I'm just gonna send to somebody.
Bigger levers to pull.
Yeah. I'm like, give me my time back. I'll make more money. I'll pay you, and I'll do this.
Exactly.
So that's been like a big thing of like, you could assess what exactly you need to delegate versus what not. So you essentially what it looks like is you're assessing how much your time is worth in those areas. A podcast is something that's very long. So if you're sitting there for 3 hours, what could you do in those 3 hours? And that's been kind of the new mindset that I'm developing recently.
Yeah. And that's because you're no longer trading your time for money. You're now trading your time for long-term progress. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening right now. It's like the time that you're investing right now in the short term might not even seem to yield any sort of results. Yeah. However, when you look at it from a broader perspective, over a long enough time horizon, you will see results flourish.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been insane.
Hit me with another one. Let's do it.
Let's check it out. All right. Growth happens through iteration rather than just repetition.
Yeah.
This
I feel strongly about that one.
Yeah. this goes back to our pivoting topic a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's so essential to success. Like, if you keep doing the same thing, bro, you're gonna get the same result.
Yeah. So there's this thing that we do as people, and again, not everybody suffers from this, but I definitely do. I think it's individuals who are more people who are very dedicated to a certain thing. People who like to pick something and go, 2 feet, 2 hands, and all the way in, right?
Mm-hmm.
They tend to experience something where they romanticize things a little bit.
Right.
And you'll notice that when you do something over and over again, obviously, practice makes perfect, as the classic saying goes, which I do think is valid to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
However, let's just put it in the context of a salesperson, right? I'm a salesperson starting out in sales, and
Right.
I spend 100% of my time just getting on calls and speaking with people and prospecting and sending out emails and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I will start to grow, right?
Yeah.
The only thing is like, if you do that 100% of your time and you never take a step back and say, okay, look at all of the calls I did today, look at all my emails I sent out, look at all my text message conversations, let me analyze what I could have done better. If you don't do that and you just keep going full force, well, it's going to take you 7 times longer just to get to the same thing. Whereas if you went back, tried to reiterate things. And so it's all about the way you divide your time. For anybody who's in business or in sales or in any aspect that's commission based, or like your income relies on you, the way that I've seen to do it, it's not the gospel, I'm not preaching it, I'm just saying it's worked for me. I use the 60-30-10 rule, which is when you start off, 60% of your time is driven towards your output. So you're prospecting, you're calling, you're getting on sales calls, you're doing emails, cold outreach, whatever it is, right? 30% of your time is always at the end of your day. You go back and you analyze every single interaction with a human being that you had throughout the day. Even if you order coffee, how did you order that coffee? Did you walk in with a smile on your face? Were you charismatic? Were you leaving the person better off than when you first met them?
Right.
Start off with that, analyze it, go back, and then the 10% of your time should be towards testing. Now you're A/B testing what you did, see how it works, and reiterate from there. What you'll notice is if you do something 7 times over and you record it, or you do any sort of filming of it, or just any sort of, like, you could say, just putting it down somewhere, you'll notice that the more you do it, even writing, if you want to practice your writing and become an author, if you write, I love writing, so I will eventually release a book one day, but if you write like 1 paragraph, even 3 sentences, and you write it 7 times, by the 7th time, it's literally 7 times better.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't do, is they do the same thing. And that's what the 9 to 5 teaches you.
Yeah.
9 to 5 is just like, do the same thing over and over again, over and over and over and over, not understanding that, hey, let me go back and analyze. And that's why it also feeds into the mindset. Because when you're working a job, like a 9 to 5 job, for example, or like a very low level skill set job,
right,
well, you're just doing the same thing over and over again, and you never iterate.
Right.
Because you're not incentivized to iterate. Why? Because you're paid $21 an hour.
Yeah.
If I'm paid $18 an hour, I'm not going to iterate for your business, bro. It's not my business, right?
Exactly.
But now
there's no influence. There's no
incentive.
There's no reason,
right?
Yeah.
But now when it's your business and you don't eat unless you get better, well, now you're fully incentivized to do so.
100%. On the topic of reflection, like, I find something that's very big. There's this YouTuber I told you to message him a while back, Clark.
Yes, I forget his name.
Anyway, he has this concept called like shadow reflecting or something like that, shadow journaling, where it's basically like, it's prompts that he tells you, like, lock yourself away for like 20 minutes minimum, cry as much as you need to, do what you need to do, but answer these questions. And they make you think so far beyond anything that, like, I've seen before. So I highly recommend checking it out. It's all free. It's on his YouTube channel. Releasing that much value for free is honestly, like, mind blowing, by the way. But yeah, you just sit there and you answer these questions, and they really make you think about, what do you believe? What's limiting you? What's stopping you? What's on your mind? What's stressing you? Like, you start thinking about these things so much deeper than, like, your day-to-day, or, like, a lot of the time we kind of avoid it. We're like, oh, okay, it's fine, like, I have a lot going on, I'm stressed, whatever, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
But when you really take a second, you're like, okay, what is it that's bothering me? It's so much easier to handle than you think. It's like,
absolutely,
like, what's bothering you? Oh, the house is dirty and I have no time to clean it. Bro, it's the smallest thing you like. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's not as big as you make it seem. But then when you delay it for X amount of time, there's a client video. It's coming up in 3 days. Okay, like how far along is the edit? Oh, I still have work to do. Okay, 2 days, 1 day. Oh no, I'm about to be late. Like, you start stressing yourself if you're not taking the action for it. So if you find out what's bothering you, okay, let's handle that one right away, and that way you don't have to worry about it. Like,
Exactly.
whenever I have a new client, I always want to like try to, you know, deliver as fast as I can and do everything as good as I can.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I stress all week because even if I'm working on the video and everything, I stress that like I don't want it to be late. I don't want to let them down. And now I'm like, bro, calm down.
Yeah.
Do this, you'll get there.
Exactly.
And reflection is key, I find, for everything. So spending 30% of your day analyzing what did you do, how did you do it, what result did that bring, was it good, was it the way that you wanted to, that like sometimes it could have been good, but it doesn't line up with your values, doesn't line up with your morals, doesn't line up with your goals. All these things are something that you get from analyzing and reflecting.
To that point as well, like how many individuals out there focus on things that don't matter? That's the one key difference you'll notice. Another key difference between highly successful people and people who are stuck is that the only stagnation is actually in your mind.
Yeah.
There are people that focus on things that don't matter. You know, there's individuals in my surroundings previously that were, you know, talking about, oh, you know, like I don't want to start a business because like when I sell it, I have to pay capital gains.
So
what does that have to do with anything? And it's like
yeah.
we use these things to stall ourselves. We use these things to talk ourselves out of it. And one thing is like for anyone who wants to get into having an entrepreneur journey, okay, whenever you venture out into like a sales position, whenever you venture out into, you know, videography, having your own business, whatever you do that's not the traditional route, it's always, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, but here, that one moment before you're about to make the leap, that you look back.
Yeah, every time.
You look back and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
For a split second.
Bro, like,
and that's where people fold.
This gimbal was like $1,300.
Yeah.
That lens was like $1,000 something. The camera with no lens, bro, this thing is useless without a lens, bro, was like $4,000.
Yeah.
You're spending this kind of money, and right before you hit buy now,
yeah,
you're like, ah.
It's the same
like,
with
do
any
I
decision.
do it? And it's that moment where it'll either get you or help you every single time, because
that's it right there.
It goes with business. You're investing in yourself. You know, oh, I'm so busy. Like, I need to finish this client video. I don't want to disappoint. Do I still hit the gym? Yes. Go hit the gym. Do it for yourself. You're investing in yourself. Those little hesitations where you have both voices telling you, yes, you should because it's for you. No, you shouldn't because what if? That what if has to be transformed. It has to be. Because I think it's human nature, honestly. Like, I don't know anybody that had this before working on it, where you think what if and it follows by it doesn't go well. Something goes wrong.
Yeah. There's always a reason to not do it.
But the transformation comes from what if everything will be fine?
Yeah.
What if it will work? What if it's actually going to be better if I do this? So that is the biggest mindset shift you could have, of just the doubt, which is normal when you have the lack of track record that proves that it works.
It's a lack of trust in yourself, which is normal, right? You're not,
before
expect...
you've done it, you don't know. It's the unknown. So it's very normal to look at the unknown and be like, I'm scared of it. But when you challenge that unknown, you're gonna see such good results that you're gonna be like, wow, I should have done this sooner. So keep challenging it and like try it out, and then if it doesn't work, pivot. That's all it is. Like, if you want something different from what you've had before, try something new and pivot after.
Yeah.